All right, let's try it again. There's some kind of glitch that happens using ManyCam. I use it for teaching long distance to my students, that when you switch to YouTube Live, it won't let you change the camera. You can go through the settings and actually click and transition the camera, but it won't actually transition. It's a weird thing. So anyway, welcome guys. This is a new one. I've never cooked live before, so this will be interesting. It's gonna be a little less organized than my normal uploaded videos, and the reason for that being that, it's live. So we are making 3 different things today because I need to meal prep. I've been eating horribly the last couple of days. So we're going to make some sandwich bread. I'm going to make my granola bars, and I'm going to make an avocado mayonnaise-ish spread today. So that's the goal. We're gonna do it in different parts. I'm gonna do my best to instruct as we go along. And then we're just gonna chat because, it's Sunday and that's what we should do. The first thing we're gonna do is work on the bread because that takes the longest. And we're gonna start by proofing our yeast. I will put all the recipes that I'm borrowing, editing, because none of them are actually exactly what I'm doing. I will put them in the description box later so that you can see them. In the meantime, we're gonna start with our yeast. I'm gonna scoot down so you can see me. Hopefully you can, I can adjust as necessary. I'm going to be using 3/4 cups of water that I don't have out at the moment. I'm going to be using about 2 tablespoons, a little more of my yeast. Don't mind the coconut milk container. And then I'm gonna put in 2 tablespoons of sugar so that the yeast has something to eat. So, the water should be warm, but not hot. That's important. If it's too hot, it can actually kill the yeast. Something I've learned. So. It has been a roller coaster of a week, guys. For real. 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then I'm going to put in a little more than 2 tablespoons of yeast. Stir to dissolve. And then we're going to set it aside to proof. That's what it means when it gets really poofy. I may do these recipes in individual videos later. I haven't decided. Today was kind of a off-the-cuff decision. So, the blender. We're going to talk about the blender. Yesterday, I decided to make mayonnaise. My friend Gisela has, from Made with Love, is the name of her little company. She has an amazing sweet mayonnaise recipe, similar to like Miracle Whip in the States, if you're familiar with that. And I've made it before in a blender. And yesterday, I needed to make another batch because my meal plan this week includes sandwiches, obviously, as we're making the bread. So I start to make it, and my blender is, the blender I had, past tense, was actually relatively old, and, it was so worn, I didn't even know what brand it was because it had worn off from use. That's how old the blender was. And it finally gave up because apparently mayonnaise is tough on blenders. Who would have thought? Chopping ice is okay, but egg and oil is just too much. So the gasket on the bottom of it, I actually have it up there. The gasket on the bottom of it broke, like actually threw plastic pieces at me. So it was about time. And there was a blender set at the store that I wanted to get. Anyway, that has a food processor, a juicer, a grater, and all sorts of things. We're gonna set that aside. So I was like, okay, fine, perfect time, let's go get it. So I went to go get it, and I paid an exorbitant amount of money for this blender set. And then I got it home, and I'm like, okay, awesome, rinsed everything out, set it up to make the mayonnaise, and it broke within a minute. Within a minute, I put the oil and egg in there, and it's starting to blend. Within 60 seconds, it starts to smoke. I turn it off and remove it, and then the gasket on the brand new blender, this is a replacement blender, but this part right here, underneath the plastic bit in between the barrel, there is a rubber gasket, and that broke. It melted. It disappeared. So now there is liquid mayonnaise, egg and oil all over my brand new blender. So I wash it, I pack it up, and I go back to the store. And the two teenagers standing behind, actually, I don't know if they're teenagers or not. They look super young to me, standing behind the counter, and they look at me and they look at the blender. I'm like, dude, I was here 20 minutes ago, which is not true. It was actually like 2 hours, but still, it's like, I was here 2 hours ago. It's not like you don't recognize me. So they take it in the back and they start conferring with the other person who looks like he's 12. And they're like, well, you broke it. Well, no, it's broken. And my use, I mean, yeah, but they're like, well, no, it was misuse. You misused the blender. So what? With oil and egg? For real? It's supposed to be able to crush ice. That's what it says on the picture. That's what it says on the box. And they're like, well, you misused it, so the warranty doesn't cover it, and there's nothing we can do. And because we can't exchange it, it's misuse by default. I had to bring in a friend who helped translate with the Portuguese, and they told her the same thing. They're like, well, we're not doing anything for you. We can't help you. And they're like, but because you have the warranty, if you keep it for a year, in a year you can bring it back for store credit. You have to keep it for a minimum of a year, and then if it's defective or it breaks or whatever, you can bring it back in a year for store credit. And I'm just going to say, if you think for 1 second I'm not petty enough to put that blender up on a shelf, and I actually say that because that's really where it is. Do you see it? Do you see the blender? If you don't think I'm petty enough to keep the blender on the shelf for a year with a little countdown, I will walk in a year from now and 100% set it on the counter and be like, where's my store credit? So frustrated over this blender thing. How ridiculous is that? Like, unless I'm blending shoes, like it should be able to chop nuts, genuinely. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, ever. It just, ugh. Anyway, back to our bread. I'm gonna make the oat flour now. So they call for using millet flour. This is a gluten-free recipe. And they call for 1.5 cups millet flour. I've done quite a bit of extensive research on gluten-free flours lately. And what I have learned is that in order to get that light, fluffy, risable, is that a word? Risable bread, you have to have a flour with protein. That's where I have been going wrong. Because, for the record, these are just regular gluten-free oats. I need to make 1.5 cups. So I'm actually going to go with about 1.75 cups because when I process it, it'll thin down quite a bit. And then I'm going to put it in my food processor because at least that one works to make 1.5 cups of oat flour. So the problem that I had been having was that my flours were all carbohydrate. I have been using rice flour and cassava flour, mandioca flour, whatever you want to call it. And because of that, there was nothing for like the yeast to hold on to, and it made it very, very dense. I also was making the mistake of not using starch. Wheat itself actually has a starch base, and I kind of talk about this in my video about breads and naan and things like that. You have to have a starch so that it has some stretch, so that the air has somewhere to go. Otherwise, it kind of just crumbles and breaks up and becomes very disappointing. I'm going to try to move my food processor over here. I can't promise that's going to work, but that's what we're going to try. Got kind of an electrical hazard going on over here. So we'll see if that works. Also, this is brand new food processor. I'm I'm still learning the proper way to use it. So for real, to make oat flour, all we're gonna do is stick it in the food processor and let it grind itself into, right, here we go. Okay. Kind of loud. Very unpleasant noise. This is why they mute it on all those like tasty channels and things like that. I was going to make this in the blender, but I'm not brave enough to touch a blender right now. We'll see. I need to make this a little bit further. Right now it's fine. I want it flour. So give me just a second. It's going to be really loud. I don't know if I can mute this. Can I mute this? So hold on. I'm going to process this and mute it so you don't have to listen to this. Okay. It's still not quite as fine as I would like, but it ultimately doesn't matter with this bread, in my opinion. So, I say that now, and then when it comes down to it later, I'm going to be like, oh, I didn't grind it fine enough. But for real, that is how you make oat flour. You're literally just processing the oats to a finer texture. I should put this in the blender to get that flour because it's still not very fine. All right, I'll do it. I'll use my backup blender to see if I can get this a little finer than what it currently is. That's how I made it last time, was in a blender, so. Sitting over here struggling with a blender on camera. That's fun. That's better. Okay. So that you can see the texture a little bit. Actually looks like flour now. So yeah, the blender is the way to go with making flours. It's actually a good blender. So far, so good. Yay! Throwing stuff. Okay, let me clear off my area here. Like I said, I'm a little discombobulated because I'm not used to doing this live. Check on our yeast. I don't know if you can see the poofiness. It has become poofy. Okay, now, so I put in 1.5 cups of oat flour. I'm now going to put in 1 cup of tapioca starch. And that's going to help give it a stretchiness so that when you go to put, air in it, there's somewhere for the air to go. Wasn't very much left. All right. Now we're going to mix together the rest of the dry ingredients before we put in the wet ingredients. That's pretty normal. And also by mixing it, you're putting in a little more air into the flour. Also something very important with gluten-free cooking. Okay, so now, oops, that's in the way. Okay, now I'm going to be using xanthan gum. This is a stabilizing agent. This helps keep it from falling apart. I'm going to be using 2 teaspoons of xanthan gum. It also has kind of like a cream of tartar flavor. It gives it a little bit of a, the only word coming to mind is pungent, but that's not right. Like a little bit of a sour flavor, kind of like in sourdough bread sort of thing. Why am I using such a small spoon? I'm special. Mixing the xanthan gum in, and then we're going to add in the baking powder and a little bit of salt. It is 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder and then a pinch of salt. I'm going to try to clean up after myself as we go along. And we'll see how this goes. So while the bread is rising, we're going to go ahead and make the other ingredient, like the avocado spread and the granola bar. Because the bread takes the longest. The bread has to sit for a minimum of 30 minutes to an hour to rise. So it may not actually be finished on camera depending on, how things go. But it'll at least go in the oven probably on the live. And then you bake it, and then when it's done, it's done. Okay, now, eggs. It is 3 eggs. I'll remove one. Can you see what I'm doing? I have no idea. I'm not actually even on the screen here. There we go. 3 eggs that we're going to beat mildly. I should buy a whisk. It should be on the list of things that I invest in my kitchen is a whisk. Don't know if I'm surviving this long without it. Don't know why I'd start now. Okay, so now that the eggs are lightly beaten, we're going to combine the eggs, the yeast mixture, vinegar, and some oil into the bread mix. Let me get exact measurements for you. 3 large eggs, 2 tablespoons oil, 1 teaspoon vinegar. It's very poofy, which is good. This is what meal prep looks like at my house on Sundays. If you have a stand mixer, I would recommend doing that. I do not, obviously. Now, this is gluten-free cooking. The batter is going to be very, very thin. It has to be because of the flours that we're using. So there is no dough ball, there is no kneading, there is none of that. That just doesn't work with gluten-free flours. It's going to be very liquidy. Yeah, it's going to be very liquidy. That's just how it works. Okay, so this is about the consistency that we're looking for. So it's sticky, but it is also very runny. A little thicker than like pancake batter. Quite. Okay. Then our loaf pan. I love silicone cookware. Side note on silicone cookware. I think it is the greatest thing since fluffy gluten-free bread, because you don't have to cook with oil, and nothing sticks. It's non-stick. Everything just pops right out. So you don't have any of that issue of like, a corner of my cake is missing. Nope, don't have that problem with this. Very pro silicone cookware. So I'm going to spread it around in the pan, and I'm going to go set this on the oven. The oven is not turned on. I just want this out of my way. I'm going to cover it with the towel to trap in some of that moisture, and we're going to let it rise for about an hour. Like I said, I may not be on when it goes into the oven, but the hard part's done. So, my towel. And we're going to set it over here, out of the way. And again, we're going to let that rise for some time. Okay, so now we're going to move on and change directions with a different dish. But this is the part, this is why I usually upload my videos instead of doing lives, because the putting everything away and cleaning is something I can do off camera. But not when you're live, so y'all have to see how I organize my kitchen. And my pajama bottoms, look at that. Okay, I think, what should we do next? Granola bars or avocado mayonnaise? What do you want to see? Ow, that hurt. I guess we could do the avocado mayonnaise. Sounds good to me. I rinse my blender because I'm using it often today. I do normally wash out all of my stuff, but today it literally just processed flour. So it's a simple rinse. Don't judge me. And I'm washing dishes on camera. That's fun. That's what everybody wants to see. But I only have one of everything, so what can I tell you? What can I talk about to make dishes more exciting? So the avocado spread, we're going to be following a basic recipe for mayonnaise, but instead of a cup of oil and 1 egg, we're going to use a full avocado and a little water to make it spreadable. So I'm going to be doing that in the, I thought about doing it in the food processor. I may just do it in the blender. I haven't made that executive decision yet. I'll make it in the next like 20 seconds. How smooth do I want it? That's the thing. I do want it kind of smooth, so I think I will put it in the blender. And hopefully the blender can hold up to avocado. I don't know. I mean, oil and egg was too much yesterday, so who knows how avocado is going to be. Oh, the mere thought of it. Yeah. For the granola, we're going to use a date paste. And that I'm going to use the processor for, because that's a little more cumbersome on the blender. Watching someone do dishes, isn't that fun? I feel like I have done dishes every 5 minutes since we went into quarantine. I'm assuming it's just because I do a lot of cooking. I cook a lot of my own things, but I do. I feel like every 5 minutes I'm doing dishes. It's kind of irritating, actually. Okay. I feel set up enough to move toward. I don't know why there's flour there. So, okay. I put that literally right in my way. So for the avocado spread, we will need a ripe avocado. Trick, especially in Brazil, because you can't always tell if something is ripe or not. If you remove the stem, if it is super, super light green, whoop, there we go, it is not ripe. If it is super brown, that means it's actually bruised on the inside, and I wouldn't recommend eating it. This is somewhere in between, which means that it is perfectly ripe. It's also soft to the touch, but not mushy. Fun fact. I'm going to be making a sweet mayonnaise, similar to Miracle Whip in the States. I did mention that earlier. So I'm going to need this not to be in my way. So I'm going to be using packet of mustard. It's supposed to be deli mustard, not deli mustard, Dijon mustard, but that's ridiculously expensive here, so we're gonna do with what we got. Half of a lime, a touch of vinegar, a touch of mulatto de cana or honey, and then I'm also going to put in a touch of salt. So it's gonna be a sweet, salty mixture. I'm not looking to make a whole lot. The jar we're using for today is this one. It's an old jam jar. But I actually think, I don't know, we'll find out. If it's too much, I will have a sandwich. If it's like way too much, I have another container for it. So cutting board would be nice. Again, guys, I usually do this all off camera, so this is interesting for me. I'm going to get ready to juice the lime. Rubbing it on the counter first helps break up the fibers of the fruit and makes it a little easier to access the juice. I'm going to not kill myself while cutting open this avocado. Beautiful. That's a beautiful avocado. I should have gotten a Brazilian avocado, but those are this big, and that's not even an exaggeration. And I was not that into the idea of mayonnaise. There's lots of things you can do with avocado, but I also wasn't ready to commit. It looked really cool for a second. And then you can't get it off of there. And this is going to go flying. Thank you. It looked really cool for a second, but it didn't tap off like it was supposed to do. Yeah, Brazilian avocados are really big, and they are good for a lot of things, especially when you're looking for like a bland flavor like in a mayonnaise. These avocados, these Hass avocados, are better for things like guacamole, because they have a little bit more of a savory flavor and less of a watery sweet flavor like the ones that we have in Brazil. So we're literally going to put everything into a blender. A normal human would use a spoon, but me? No way. I'd rather like be messy for some reason. So yeah, instead of the cup of oil and the egg that usually goes into a mayonnaise recipe, I'm going to use a full avocado. The reason for that, okay, so little logic behind that. I am trying, well, I'm in the process of losing weight. Then again, I think everybody is. And I have been successfully losing weight since November of last year. But counting calories is tedious and boring, and I don't enjoy it. I can't do full keto because I'm allergic to a lot of animal products and dairy. And the basis of the standard keto is high meat, high protein, high fat. And for most people, that means lots of dairy and meat. I can't do that. I did it for about 3 months, and my hair fell out. It was fun. I also developed chronic kidney stones. So, not me, not for me. Nope, that didn't work. I'm actually going to add the other half of the lime here because that was not a very juicy lime. And I want some of that tang in the spread. This better not break this blender. I swear, if it does, I'm going to be like going on a rampage. Like I'm going to kill somebody. I don't know why I'm paranoid. I made peanut butter in a blender before. I don't know, but now after yesterday, I'm totally paranoid. For the record, there are not specific measurements for this. I'm kind of making it up as I go along. This is what I put in my sweet mayonnaise, so it makes sense for this to be what would go into my avocado mayonnaise. Give or take, it's about a tablespoon, about 2 teaspoons of mustard, a tablespoon of honey, a tablespoon-ish of lime juice, a pinch of salt, a touch of vinegar. The vinegar is mostly a stabilizing agent. Same thing with the lime juice. And it also gives it a little bit of a tangy flavor too. My hands are wet, otherwise I would be actually using that properly. Okay. I am going to add a touch more water. I'm okay if it's a little thin. I am not okay if it breaks the blender. Here, can you tell? Then again, if you broke 2 blenders in one day, you might be a little shaky too. I have no faith. Especially because this isn't my blender, and this is also an old blender. So we'll see. All right. It's going to get loud for a minute, and I apologize. I'm so brave blending on camera. Usually I cuss out my blender multiple times. So I'm actually doing pretty well. Pretty proud of myself. I'm not tall enough to check on the progress. It's actually coming out pretty good. I'm going to add just a hair more water here. Let me show you. It's a little thicker than I wanted, so we're going to do just a touch more. And then we'll turn it on. There's a chunk here that I'm staring at that's not moving. Just spoon. Still a little chunky, so we're gonna. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not looking for perfection here. It looks like caramel syrup, and it's not, I promise. It is closer to honey or molasses, because again, remember, I'm looking for a Miracle Whip. If you are not a Miracle Whip fan, if you do not like sweet mayonnaise or salad dressing, don't use it. Just plain mayonnaise is made with literally everything else that I just showed you. I could hear people going, ugh, through the screen. More water still. Again, I don't usually do this on camera. Always adding gradual amounts. It benefits no one to do it all at one time. That looks much better. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Perfection right there. Okay. So that you can see. Nice and smooth, a little bit of a run to it, which is fine for me. And this will stay in the fridge for about 3 to 5 days. The lime is going to help it stop it from turning brown. Same thing with the vinegar. The acidity is what helps stop the oxidation. For the record, this was so much easier than mayonnaise. I read all these recipes online about mayonnaise only being like, oh, in 10 minutes. And I'm like, it don't take 10 minutes. It takes much longer than 10 minutes. But they don't have Miracle Whip here. That was the reason I even started on this venture in the first place. They have mayonnaise, and their mayonnaise tastes weird. Looks like baby food. This came out perfect. I'm so happy. If I had a rubber spatula, I would actually get in there and get the proper amounts out. But I do not. Guys, if you have comments, feel free to like chat, say something. I'm feeling kind of lonely here. I can see that there's people watching. I can see you. Say hi, even if you're just family. I like the support. So there we go. Success. We have 1 jar of avocado mayonnaise. I'm actually going to put that in the fridge. Okay, now we're back to everybody's favorite part, clean up and restart. Oh, there's a bug. I think it was just a fly, but it touched me, and I'm not okay with that. Okay, so the third and last recipe that we are doing today is going to be a homemade protein granola bar. I have made granola bars in the past, but this time we're going to focus on that protein. I was talking earlier about the nutritionally dense foods for weight loss and health. For example, I was using rice flour, cassava flour as my base for gluten-free cooking. And now I did a little bit of research, and I'm switching to oat flour, coconut flour, and almond flour. The reason for that is because it's not just a carbohydrate. They have fats in them. They have natural proteins in them. And that's what I want. I want to get the most bang for my buck out of the calorie count that I have every day. And actually, it got me over the plateau of losing weight. So I'm now successfully losing weight, and I'm back in a downward trend. So that's working out great for me. The avocado mayonnaise is another example of that. Avocado is a healthy fat, so is olive oil, but olive oil is pure fat. There's no fiber, there's no protein, there's no, none of the good things that come with eating an olive over drinking a tablespoon of olive oil. So the avocado is giving me more nutrition and fiber in addition to a little, I believe there's protein in avocado. I could totally be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But the avocado being whole in its actual form is going to be healthier than a raw egg and a cup of oil. And for the record, they made the same amount of mayonnaise. I get 1 jar out of a cup of oil and an egg that I do out of that 1 avocado and the ingredients. And it tastes very similar. So I'm very happy with that. So talking about, before we move on, I'm just going to chat because I'm waiting for our bread to rise. I don't know if you can see, but I got so excited about this when I made this recipe. You look like a baby. Do you see the bump? Do you see the bread bump? That means it's raising. Yeah, it's almost doubled in size. So we're gonna let it rise for a little bit longer, and then we'll put it in the oven. And then because it takes so long to bake and rise and everything, I probably won't be on when it's finished. But just so you know, for all those people out there in the world who do gluten-free cooking and have struggled with dense, crumbly bread, there's hope for you, because there was hope for me. Anyway, we were talking about breakfast and the granola bars that we're going to do here in just a minute. So for breakfast, I have changed to a high protein breakfast. I still eat eggs, so that's not a problem for me. I eat plain scrambled eggs the way no one eats them. Sometimes I put a little bit of almond milk. Sometimes I literally just put the eggs in the pan and call it good. I made tofu cottage cheese last week. That was pretty good. Not something I want to do all the time. There's a lot of debate around the healthiness of soy, but it's good for when you want to change. Overnight oats is something I definitely do. I have smoothies that I'm trying to finish up. And then today I'm going to make granola bars. I'm a sweet fan. Sorry. I love foods that's sweet. Like if you give me a choice between something salty or something sweet, I'm always more inclined towards sweet things, especially in the morning. Peanut butter pancakes, that's me all the way. Scrambled eggs and bacon, not so much. So because of that, I look for higher protein. Now, this particular recipe we're going to switch to in a minute, and I'm going to gather the ingredients. as we do this. These are 3-minute granola bars. It's gonna take longer than 3 minutes, but they are pretty easy to do. Now, this calls for protein powder, and I am not going to use protein powder because vegan protein powder is ridiculous, and the rest of them all have whey, which is a derivative of milk, which I cannot eat. So we are going to be making our own-ish combination. I'm going to be using whole flaxseed, ground flaxseed, and chia seed today for the protein portion of these. It also calls for a ½ cup. I mean, it makes 12 bars. I feel like that's important to say, but it also calls for a ½ cup of honey. Whew, that's a lot of sugar. So we're going to be using a date paste instead that is significantly healthier and has more fiber. Now, honey is a great alternative if you are not vegan. Vegans typically don't eat honey. Honey has a lot of antibacterial properties. It's really good for you. So are dates. They're also half the calories of honey. And they also have fiber and they have protein as well. So I also like this flavor of dates. They remind me of figs, fig Newtons. It's a big flavor of mine. I don't know why I'm waving scissors at you because they're on the counter. So I'm going to use date. We're going to make a date paste as the sticky binder in our granola bars. So first I have to clean up from one to move to the next. So I'll adjust this accordingly so you can kind of watch my back as I wash my dishes, I guess. We're going to be using the food processor, so I can set it aside. I don't know if I actually finished a solid thought in any of that. If I didn't, please let me know in the comments, and I will finish thoughts. I hate when people do that, but I get distracted. So anyway, avocado mayonnaise. I'm so happy. I'm also going to be making in one of my future videos, a cauliflower Alfredo using cashews. That's on the list of videos upcoming. I've got a couple of quick fix videos where I make oatmeal raisin muffins, 100 calorie. I also, the tofu cottage cheese is in a video. What else do I make? Everything I eat. If I eat it, I usually record it. I spend a lot of time eating leftovers, though. I don't know if I'm going to need the blender for the granola bars. I don't think so, but I don't know for sure, so. I know, quiet, literally just watching someone do dishes. I'm sorry. I've never done dishes on camera before. It's something new for me. Usually this is what I do off camera in between stages of cooking, so. You guys are welcome to make a comment. I'll respond to your comments. Electronic. I keep trying to scrub the gasket on the bottom of the blade, thinking it's avocado, and it's not actually. That's just the color. This is a brand new blender to me. Borrowed from a wonderful friend who felt the pain of suffering through two broken blenders in one day. Oh, I'm still sore about it. Like I'm still sour, still bitter. I'm still like lemon juicy sour. It's okay. That blender is going to stay on my cabinet for a year, and then I'm going to go get my store credit. And that's just how it's going to be, because that's going to happen. That's what they told me to do. I'm like, fix it now so I can use my blender. And they're like, no, come back in a year, and we can give you something for like the value of it. For the record, not all Brazilian businesses are like this. Most of them are not. That is something that is unique to this particular store And apparently, based on the complaint that I wrote yesterday, it's not even uncommon. So, but that's important to say that not all Brazilian businesses work like that. It's particularly bad. Okay, now let's collect ingredients for, ooh, it's poofy. You can't see it from over there, but it is, I promise you. It's like, whoop, it's gonna be awesome. There is such a thing as over-rising your bread. So actually, we're gonna put that in the oven very soon because if you over-rise it, when it gets hot, the bubbles burst and then it collapses while it's baking. So we're actually going to put that into the oven now. 210 degrees Fahrenheit. 210 degrees Fahrenheit. What? No. Oh, 350 there. What? No. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my oven. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the bread into bake. I bake everything at 230 degrees so that you can see when the bread has doubled in size, that's as much as it needs to raise. Can you see it? Exactly. If you let it raise too much more, it'll collapse while baking. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven. Okay. And then that goes in the laundry. All right, now let's talk about granola bars. We need oats, gluten-free, of course, salt, peanut butter. That's neither of those, that's chia seeds, but it's still something that I know is on the list of things to pull out. Peanut butter. I need my ground flaxseed. That's coconut sugar. That's regular sugar. There it is. Should label the things in my cabinet. Sorry. Oats, peanut butter, protein. I need my dates. I may put chocolate chips in these because it sounds really good. It's not technically chocolate chip. It's actually like a Hershey bar that I'm gonna cut out. But then I need my dates. Salt. And then, so that flour on it. We're literally mixing all the ingredients. So the only thing we need to make for sure is the paste, and we're gonna do that first. And I'm gonna try to make that in the processor instead of in the blender because this is gonna be kind of harsh on the blades. It calls for a half cup. So where is my measuring cup? We're gonna do some fun quarantine kitchen measuring here. Half cup is right there. Figure it's gonna be about 6 dates actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cut them in half, there we go. So I can make it again. There's a garbage can there, in case you're wondering. I'm not just throwing things on the floor. We're gonna cut the dates in half. We're gonna soak them in warm water for a little bit while we mix everything else together. And then we're gonna dump the dates and the warm water into the food processor to make the date paste. And this is going to substitute our honey or agave syrup or whatever you're currently using. Yeah, it's a good binder because it's sticky. I don't actually have anything. That's pretty much it. I always say it like I'm going to say something else, and actually that was it. That it is sticky, it's healthy, it's delicious, has a good flavor. Soaking it in water, the hot water in particular, is going to make it just a little bit more pliable. And it'll help break down some of those syrups so that it blends smoother. These are medjool dates, by the way. Apparently there's another date, but these are the most popular. And these are the ones that they have. They have a really pretty name in Portuguese. Tomata. It's very pretty. Actually, that's how it's spelled. I don't actually know how it's pronounced. The lady understood me though, but it's not difficult when you say this. So I have been known to turn that on and not actually have a flame going. So I'm gonna cut those in half, set them here. When that water heats up to warmer than right now, we'll make the date paste. And then in the meantime, we'll put some stuff in a bowl. I love putting stuff in bowls. It's like my favorite thing. It is actually. I love mixing things. I've been on here for an hour. Wow. Okay. So where are we? Okay, 1.5 cups of my gluten-free oats. Are we enjoying this? I mean, is this something we want to do? Are we enjoying the live stream? Please let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep uploading videos where you don't have to watch the in-between stuff. It doesn't affect me. I still eat regardless. So, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, otherwise known as a pinch. Okay, now we're going to get into the half cups. 1/2 cup peanut butter. Let's talk about this peanut butter. I miss American peanut butter so bad. But American peanut butter is so bad for you. It is, like, I think the second ingredient is sugar in American peanut butter. Whereas this thing, this is a kilo, by the way, of peanut butter. That looks yummy. It's a shake of chocolate, banana, and peanut butter. I may make that. It sounds delicious. And then sweet potato brigadeiro. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Ingredients. Oh yeah, it literally, ingredients. Peanut torrado, which means it has been like pressed. It's like peanut butter. That's all it says. Literally, that's it. Peanut butter. That's the only ingredient in this one. There's no additional oil. There's no additional sugar. It's the reason this is so good for you. It's not cute. Do you see that? It's like a peanutty sludge. You have to mix it up. This is also creamy peanut butter, and I used chunky peanut butter last time, so. Just like peanut butter in the States, sometimes you gotta mix it up, because natural peanut butter, it floats to the top. Why are people texting me? Go away. All right. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay, we're looking for a 1/2 cup of this. And yes, I'm using the same measuring cup, because why wouldn't I? You've seen how many times I have to do dishes. Might only do it once. Boop. Scientific measurements here. Everything is an exact science. I don't know why this feels so silly. I feel like I have no clue what I'm doing. I mean, you know, not that we ever really do, but. Okay, there's my 1/2 cup of peanut butter. And we're gonna put that in here. I should be talking. I should have something to talk about. Hal Sparks is awesome. That's what we can talk about. I listen to his channel often. He makes me laugh hysterically, nonstop. And between him and Kit Boga, that's pretty much what my YouTube looks like nowadays. It's like just all their videos. I still watch some Brad Mondo. I watch him, of course. A lot of Youssef Watif's channel. He's fun to watch. What else do I watch? R Slash. Love R Slash. That's another YouTuber that I watch. No. Multitasking over here. Okay, I just covered the date. You can't. Whoa, that's hot. Hold on. So I literally just covered the dates in hot water, and we're going to let that soak for a minute while we get everything else set up. And then we're going to move on to life. So I can put my oats away now. Salt away. Now, it calls for 2/3 cup of protein powder. I am not using protein powder. I am using flax seeds, chia seeds, and ground flax seeds. And I don't think I'm going to use a full 2/3 cup. I am going to put a reasonable amount, like 2 tablespoons of each in there, I think. Would be good. Someone is texting me. Okay, so that was, I'm sorry, I didn't even introduce you to what these are. Despite the label, these are chia seeds. And then this is whole flax seeds, which are actually not great for your digestive system. If you are celiac or have diverticulitis, I would not recommend whole flax seeds. Your body does not digest them very well. They usually come out whole. So when people buy them whole, typically they'll grind them. But there are some qualities of it that you can get. I should be measuring this, but I am not. Now this is literally this put through a grinder. This your body can digest, this your body cannot. It doesn't have the ability to break down the seeds, from what I've heard. Got chia seeds on the back of my hand. Cleaning up after myself as we go along, always a good habit to have. I'm going to mix this together. The chocolate I'm going to save for last, I think. I may not even put chocolate in it. This needs a date paste. I didn't actually think it was going to mix very well, so the date paste is going to add a little bit more moisture to it so that you can actually stir it. But it's going to be kind of like a cookie dough in texture when you press it out onto the pan and then stick it in the freezer. So my oven is on. I'm baking bread. I was wondering why it was suddenly so hot in here. It's like, it was okay. No, it's not. It's because I'm baking bread. Who'd thunk? Okay, I'm going to set that aside for right now, and we are going to process the date paste. So we're going to pull out the processor. And I'm actually totally okay if the paste comes out kind of chunky, because I like dates. There's oats. I don't know, how did that happen? Why did that happen? I know, obviously, I know how it happened. I haven't mastered the food processor yet. It's still new. Don't judge me. Okay, and then I'm going to put the dates, the hot date water, and the dates in here. Secure it, and here we go. This is going to be really loud. Let me mute it so you don't have to listen. Be right back. Hold on. I said, wow, that actually came out much better than I thought it was going to. I'm actually going to leave it like that because I don't mind that it's a little on the chunky side. Let me show you what we're working with here. So it's like almost like a jam. You could take it down further if you wanted to. I am totally, completely content with that texture. So now I'm going to put that into the bowl with the granola bars, and then I need to make a decision about the chocolate. Okay. If you are allergic to peanuts, I would not recommend this recipe, obviously. But something you could do instead of the peanut butter. Cookie butter is something that exists that is nut-free. If you are not allergic to seeds, raw cashew butter is also something that you could use. I'm sure there's other substitutions. I'm fortunately not allergic to nuts, except for pistachios. So this isn't a problem for me. I'm going to add, I would add just a touch of water, but I don't actually think it's necessary. I'm going to add some. Not much, just a little. Should we add chocolate? Should we not add chocolate? That's the question. I don't know. I should taste it first. You could top it with totally anything that you wanted to. Raisins would be good. If you wanted to do like roasted bananas or toasted coconut, that would be another good mixture to put in this. There we go. So we have the base of the mixture mixed in there. So now, again, the only question is, what, if anything, do I want to mix into this? Not a thing. That is really good. I am not going to put chocolate into this. I've changed my mind. I was going to mix in chocolate chips, and I've changed my mind. So, yeah. So again, this is super easy. It's oats, dates, water, peanut butter, and then I have a bunch of seeds in there. So now we're going to press it into a pan, cool it, and then when it's cool, you can cut it up, and then you will have your granola bars. Should I push it into a muffin tin? How cute would that be? I like that idea. Or a pan. I think you should do a pan. I love my silicone muffin tray. I love silicone bakeware just in general. It's like the thing for me. My only concern with this is going to be sticky. I'm gonna do it later. I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm gonna regret the decision later, maybe. And then if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. I mean, you can't see what I'm doing. So I have, if your cookware is not Teflon, non-stick, I would recommend putting down some parchment paper. I would recommend doing that anyway. Obviously, I didn't. Thank you, Starwin, man. It is delicious. Totally worth the try if you want to make homemade granola bars. Unless that was sarcasm, but yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to use non-stick pans here because my non-stick cookware is just, it's the thing. It's really good. It's not going to fill up the entire pan, obviously, but it doesn't have to. I'm not baking it. So it's kind of like overnight oats in a bar. Just going to spread it out to about the right thickness, then the right shape, and then we're going to put it in the fridge. Or in the freezer, actually. I think I have room in the freezer. And then we're going to freeze it until it is hard. And then you can wrap them in parchment paper if you want, or in Tupperware, and then you will have your pre-made protein granola bars that taste delicious. Now, this would be a good time to sprinkle it with like raisins or bananas or the coconut or chocolate or whatever you want to top it with. I am not going to because that was really good. Just going to let it be. Need a smaller pan. The thickness is totally up to you. I'm looking to get about 12 bars, about that big out of them. So, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cut it in half, that'd be 10, somewhere around there. If I wanted to, I could even mark where I wanted the bars to be. Actually came out just about perfect, so yay, look at that. Okay, and that goes into the sink because we are finished. This goes into the freezer. Okay, so now it's really just a waiting game on the bread, which we can check on. It's really poopy. It's very poopy. So this is the time that I would usually use to clean up my kitchen, make a cup of coffee, which I'm going to do. But yeah, so that's it. It's actually pretty simple, this whole meal prep thing. You just got to dedicate the time to it. So for those that just joined, thank you so much for joining me. If you want to go back and watch this video later, we made, me and my scissors again, we made avocado mayonnaise. We have made some homemade sandwich bread with oat flour and tapioca starch. And then you just saw me finish the high protein granola bars. So that's going to take care of part of my breakfast for the week, some of my lunches and dinners, and that's about it. So, yeah, we're just really waiting for the bread to cook. I guess I could walk you over there and show you what it looks like. So that you can see. Okay, so there is one of the conflicts with silicone cookware. So you can see where we're going with the bread here, is that it doesn't hold its form incredibly well. Put this back in the oven. So you can probably see as I walk past, it lost its shape just a little. It doesn't affect the bread in any way. It's just one of the downsides of gluten-free cooking. So I'm probably going to let that cook for another, it's going to bake for another 15 minutes, maybe 20. They're on the counter. I don't know why. I'm not threatening to cut you. That would be like this way. It's just something on the counter, and I'm a hand person. So I'm going to let the bread cook probably for about another 15 minutes or so. Gluten-free cooking does, especially with those flours, they do have a tendency to take a little longer because they absorb moisture slower. But I will test it in a bit. Thank you. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. Old-fashioned Nickelodeon right here. We got all the stuff. I'm big on t-shirts, a huge t-shirt fan. So thank you, Starwood Man. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the old Nickelodeon shows and just t-shirts in general. Yeah, we were talking about the bread. Sorry, I know that's not as much fun as threatening you with scissors. But it does have a tendency to absorb slower, so it takes a little bit longer to cook. But here in about 10-15 minutes, I will use a toothpick to check out the density of it. It looks like it's super fluffy. I'm very happy about this. So that's really exciting. That's all the recipe. I know, it's a messy sink. Let's not look at the messy sink. I have to do dishes again. Like I said, I'm doing dishes every 5 minutes since quarantine. So, yeah, I think that is about it for recipes today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Like and share. If you have suggestions on recipes you'd like me to tweak to make a little healthier, higher protein, gluten-free, whatever. Sorry, comments popped up. Yes, it is the third blender, and it's not even mine. I have a very good friend who has a lot of faith in me, and she loaned me a third blender. The other blender from yesterday's debacle is right there, where it will sit for the next 364 days until I can get my store credit from the warranty. It's just going to be a part of my living room decoration because I am that petty. So yeah, the blender survived. I'm enjoying the blender. That worked out great for today. So I'll have to thank her. Probably give her some avocado mayonnaise. So yeah, this was fun. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy the live streams more so, equal to, or less than, please let me know, because I'm still currently tweaking my channel and the best way to provide these recipes. If you have suggestions for improvements or recipes that you'd like me to try, please put those in the comments, because I'm always excited for those. And yeah, so I'm probably not going to stay on camera too much longer. So thank you guys all so much for joining me. I hope that you get to try some of the recipes, or even just to watch for entertainment on a Sunday. So thank you guys so much for being here. It's been a pleasure. Take care of yourself. Stay happy, stay healthy, all that. So I'm going to go finish my bread, and I will see you guys later. All right? Bye.